Hello, Mr. Schumsky. How are you this
Hello,
evening?
hello.
Well, I would like to welcome you to the first episode of mine and my friend's video podcast, Just the Facts, spelled FAQS.
Okay. Hold on one second.
Well,
Let me turn on light in here. It's pretty shadowy. Give me 1 second. If that helps. Wink. Okay. I think I'm good. All right. Oh, that's so much better now. Not by much, but hello.
to start off, tell us a little bit more about yourself. So, like from the beginning.
Okay. Well, hi, my name is Greg Schumksy, and I am the creator of a new kind of theme park, what I call a story park called Jackalope Junction. And I've been in the themed entertainment attraction business for the past, well, since 2018. Basically, before that, I was in film and video production. I've been in film and video and stuff like that for the past 40 some odd years.
Awesome. So what were you involved in when you were in the video production business?
When I was in video and film production, I worked as a director of photography. I worked on documentaries. I worked as a sound engineer for several small films. And then I worked a lot on shows that would go to hotels or other stuff like that, where I worked as a camera operator or a director. And then I worked for local TV stations here in San Diego as an editor and as a camera person, and then doing other jobs, writing, etc., stuff like that. And then I worked in animation for a while as well. So I was an animator for several years on and off.
So, the first off, you're like, were you all? Did you always have an interest in the amusement park and theme park industry?
Yes, I had a dream of being an Imagineer since I was about 6 years old. So when Walt Disney was on TV originally, showing his Imagineers, one of his shows, I watched it and thought, gee, that would be really cool to be that. I would love to be doing stuff like that when I get older. And so that kind of stuck with me for a long time. And then I also was very interested in filmmaking and doing special effects and animation work. And but yeah, there was a big dream there to be a Disney Imagineer someday.
So, did you eventually become one, or did that not work out for you?
I came pretty close. So in 2013, 2011, I met John Georges from Disney Imagineering, and we became friends on LinkedIn. And then he invited me up to D23 to have my R2D2. So I'm part of the R2D2 Builders Group, and I have an R2. And so they reached out and said, "Hey, we're going to be doing a section of our Imagineering Pavilion for D23 that's based on our new Star Wars land. And we want to make R2D2 a honorary Imagineer. Not me, but R2D2. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I worked with them on designing R2D2's crate and some of the other stuff in the booth. And then I went up and worked with Imagineering for the week during D23. And that was pretty darn cool.
So, well, so we're getting a little sidetracked, but I do have to ask a question. Besides the R2 units, do you did you help them out with like the Gunk Droid units and others like that, or just the R2 units?
Just the Disney R2 unit. That's it.
Okay.
Yep. And then what happened was is I did get an interview eventually with Dave Crawford from Imagineering, and he put me into the R&D bucket and offered me a possible job with R&D only if somebody else had quit. Nobody ever quits R&D, but I came within inches of getting a job with Imagineering in the R&D group.
Well, I mean, it kind of the inspiration for the amusement part, well, theme part that you're trying to come up with seems like you were inspired somewhat by Disneyland. It
Yeah, a little bit. So the inspiration for Jackalope Junction came from a few sources. One was Frontierland at Disneyland. Um, the other inspiration was a local amusement park we grew up with as kids called Marshall Scotty's that in 1996 became abandoned. And my wife and I drive by there all the time, and in the past so many years. And I thought, gee, it'd be really cool to buy that and tear down all the old buildings and create a new little Western park with some rides and some shops and restaurants and a little roadside attraction of a mine cave walkthrough. And that eventually grew into Jackalope Junction with original characters and a backstories for all of them. And there was something there to turn that into also books and a planned TV show as well.
I was gonna say because I would before the interview, I just did some research on your concept for it, and like you said, I was thinking like he must have been inspired somewhat by Frontierland at Disneyland or Ghost Town at Knott's Berry Farm, and
Yep. Exactly. And then I grew up with a lot of Western, Old West inspiration. My dad was a somewhat of a cowboy, and his big heroes. He had a lot of artwork. We watched a lot of John Wayne movies and stuff like that. And growing up as kids, and my dad had artwork by Olaf Weghorst and other Western artists that we had, the bronze statuettes and paintings and all sorts of stuff in my house growing up as a kid. So that was
I know the
very much
feeling. My grandmother was a huge John Wayne fan as well.
okay.
Um, so to start off with the Jackalope Junction, the tell us more about the origins and well, you already said the inspirations for it, which
Mhm.
was more the defunct amusement park Marshall Scotty's.
Right. So the origin comes from basically, essentially, I had this idea for the park, and it was gonna be a little Western town. I thought, well, it needs to have a, if it's gonna be, it was originally gonna be like a little shopping area with amusement rides. And then I thought, well, it needs to be more of a theme park. And I thought if it's gonna be a little theme park, it needs to have a name. And I've always loved jackalopes since I was a kid, and we made a trip to North Dakota and went through Wyoming and saw jackalopes for the first time. So I had to think of a name that one of Jackalope and Jim was just popped in my head. So Jackalope Jim became our character, and I thought, well, he's our Mickey Mouse, more or less. And I thought about, well, what is he? I thought he's a sheriff. It's the Old West. He's a sheriff. And then one of my kids mentioned to me that I should make it steampunk and give him a bionic arm. And I thought that was kind of silly at first. And then I thought about it and thought, okay, if he's got this missing arm and he's got this mechanical arm now, why does he have a mechanical arm? I thought about the story. Was he born without it? Did he lose it during the Civil War? In their universe, they've got a similar history to ours. And I thought, well, no, let's make it interesting and make him that he was born without it. Because now he's this guy that's got the kind of the deck stacked against him. And then to make it even worse, his life even more miserable is that I kill off his parents when he's 10 years old. And so now he's got this chip on his shoulder. He's been bullied a good part of his life. And he decides at the age of 15 to go after the bad guys, the Slippery Slope gang who I created. He decides to go after them and exact his revenge on them for killing his parents. But along the way, he keeps missing them from town to town to town, and it helps him develop into somebody different. And he becomes this really good guy because of his trials and tribulations. So I thought this is a really good story. And this is something that we need to teach kids about today. That you, despite the things that happen in life, you don't have to end up being a rotten person because of it. You can choose to become somebody better from those experiences. So that's what we did with Jim. And then I started introducing other characters. So I create, for Jackalope Junction, he ends up in Jackalope Junction eventually, which was this old mining town called Mighty Oak Springs. It's been a ghost town for 20 years after a big tragic cave-in in the mines. And a lot of the main characters from there have lost loved ones, and the town just shuts down. They become quiet, but he comes along and helps kind of bring them back up. So that was the inspiration for it, was basically thinking, what kind of story can we tell the kids that would inspire them and create new kinds of heroes that kids could truly look up to and want to model, right? So that's kind of that was it. I mean, it was just thinking about all the old westerns and tragedies and then how do we get around that? So yeah.
I was gonna say it sound the more I got into it, it sounded more like if like the Disney meets the Dollars trilogy, Clint Eastwood Dollars trilogy.
Kinda, huh? Right? And that's the thing, is that we want to be aimed at kids 8 to 14. However, it's written for the whole family to enjoy together. So any adult could sit down, just like you watch SpongeBob or whatever, but with more depth to it. Anybody could sit down and watch it and not feel like they're being talked down to. We want to be uplifting for everybody, and I have to say that I think a lot of it, when I looked at instilling values into bringing back the thought of values into family entertainment, a wholesome entertainment. I thought about biblical stories, biblical teachings about respect, responsibility, accountability, and I honestly think that a lot of it was God saying, you need to do this, and I'm like, okay, I'll do this. What's funny is I had created all these extra little side characters that were just to fill in the park, but eventually what happened is there would be a knock on my door, more or less, and it'd be one of the characters, and they'd say, "Let me tell you about myself. Here's who I am." Right? So before it was just like, I got to have a guy for my taco shop. I got to have a female character that's like Annie Oakley. I've got to have the people that run the general store. I started thinking about, well, what's the real stories? And they would, in my dreams or in quiet times, I'd hear them talking to me saying, this is what happened to me. Write this down and tell people about it. And so it's kind of a weird process how that all came together. But this whole story started forming before my eyes, and here we are.
And, well, you already explained. So, besides Jackalope Jim, what are in the Slippery Slope gang? What are the? Can you tell us more about any of the other characters you have planned for the park?
Yeah, sure. So we have a different sets of characters, not a lot of them, but the main characters are obviously Jackalope Jim. We have Senior Mole, who was the mining foreman of Mighty Oak Springs. And after the big cave-in, he survives it, but 13 people are trapped in the mines and disappear from space and time. So he stays behind, and eventually he meets Jim, and he becomes one of Jim's trusted deputies. And he runs a taco shop as well outside of the mine caves, which is a converted powder keg of TNT, which is fun. So, and then we have Mac, the robot, he's an automaton, which was a mining robot, but Jim rebuilds him into something more capable, and he becomes a deputy sheriff as well. So we're gonna have an actual four-legged robot walking around the park. We have Shotgun Sally, who was to be married. So she was young, and she was a citizen of Mighty Oak Springs, and her betrothed is a minor and is one of the people that went missing. So she shuts down, and she becomes an alcoholic, and she won't talk to anybody, and she becomes a recluse and becomes an alcoholic. She comes out once in a while, and Jim shows up, and then she starts kind of turning around a little bit, and she's good with a shotgun, and she's based on a friend of mine. A lot of the characters are based on people I grew up with, went to school with, or family, as well as parts of myself. And then we have the Gerties, Mom and Pa Gertie, and they run the general store. And they lost their two children in the mine caves during the big cave-in um, before the Jackalope Junction times. We have Paula Pig, who runs a small little cottage out on the edge of town, and she makes lots of great food, and they have get-togethers at her house on a little outdoor stage, and the whole town would come together, and they do big potlucks, and live music will be played by a local band people, and um, let's see, we have Chief Redtail. He's a Redtail Hawk, and he's the head of a local small little Indian village. We have Baron von Schumsky, who is a German immigrant. There's a long story to him, but he basically ends up town and starts inventing things and reinvents his rocket plane, his rocket jet plane that he's got on an elevated track that goes around the park, and it's a form of transportation. And we have Professor Ping. So Professor Ping lives in this old pagoda out in the backcountry, and he's somewhat of a amateur magician, and he's also a amateur scientist, but he's figured out a way, taking a big chunk of a time crystal, how to try and bring back the 13 people that went missing, because when they were in the caves, the miners, 11 miners and 2 children, the Gertie's children, in the cave, and they actually are in a room full of time crystals, and the time crystals activate because of this cave in, and they get pulled into an alternate universe and dimension. So Professor Ping's trying to figure out how to bring them back. Yeah, and then there's the Slippery Slope Gang. They're the bad guys. Yeah, lots of fun. So there's plenty more.
So, with these characters, are you gonna do something similar like Knott's Berry Farm does with Ghost Town Alive, where they have actors and stuff interacting with the with guests?
Yes. So Ghost Town Alive is really cool. I got to see it finally. I was really impressed. It's the same sort of experience where you as a guest can either interact with them or they'll interact with you, or you can show up at the park and you can go have some food and do some shopping, go on some rides, and stay for the fireworks at the end of the night and call it a day. But everything in the town, because we call it a story park, everything in the town will tell the story of Mighty Oak Springs and the history of Jackalope Junction, just like if you visited Williamsburg or something like that. However, this is, of course, we have our actors. In this case, the animals will be anthropomorphic animals, so there'll be people in face makeup and costumes similar to the Grinch or Chewbacca or something like that. So it feels more real versus the big, Mickey Mouse heads. There'll be real robots going around. We're gonna have cyborg gunslingers. We're gonna have other gunslingers there. We're gonna have all sorts of people walking around. Every person that works there, whether they're in the street or in the restaurant or in the shops, will pretend that they are a town person. So if you go to Knott's and you interact with one of the Mayfield guys or whatever, or the mayor or whomever, that's those characters in place. But at Jackalope Junction, and like the cashiers at Ghost Town Alive, they're just cashiers. They're there just doing their job. We're going to make it so everybody there is an actual townsperson. So it's going to be a lot of work to take these people through improv classes, which we're going to be doing with one of our people that works with us is a guy named Russ Swanger, and he teaches improv. So we're going to be training people how to do improv and how to fit in as a townsperson. And we're going to do it from 9 in the morning when the park opens till 9 o'clock at night when the park closes. So unlike Ghost Town Live, that runs from 11 to 4 or 5. And only the summertime. We're going to be doing it year round, even during the wintertime, and all day and all night. So, but it's very similar to what Ghost Town Alive is doing. I was really impressed with the way they bring you in. And we're going to be doing a lot more of that, plus a lot of extra cool stuff.
I would say one character. I don't know if you'll have any characters similar to him, but Sad Eye Joe at not at Ghost Town at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah. So yeah, there's going to be the Slippery Slope Gang that will be in the jail. But every so often when you look in the jail, they may be gone because they're the Slippery Slope Gang. They figure a way out. And you may see them around town. They may be robbing a bank, or chances are during the Mine Cave Adventure Tour, which is a little tour of the mine caves that Senior Mole gives, you may run into the Slippery Slope Gang, and they're going to try and convince you to help them rob the gems from the mines. And once they realize you're not there to help them, they come after you, and then you help the sheriff capture them, and so on and so forth. That's part of the fun of it. they'll be the ones mainly in the jail, but we're also going to have it where people can get arrested and put in jail. So you can pay to have someone get arrested, or you could say arrest that guy, and you come in and you pay their their fee to get them out. And all that money won't go to the park. We're actually going to have a couple charities that we'll be donating to, different youth groups and stuff like that, like Young Life, and some other charities we'll be donating that money to. So all the money that goes into the jailhouse from somebody getting arrested and then being released, that will actually go completely to charity. We're not going to touch that money at all.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Another thing that I was wondering if you'll have something similar like they have at Ghost Town is, of course, I think it's during Ghost Town Alive is the train robbery where the train stops and the robbers come up on the train.
Yes. So we're going to have several trains that go around the park. And one of them you may get robbed. You never know. Or you might get involved in a bank robbery, or you might be caught in the middle of a shootout in the middle of the street. Who knows? We don't. Crazy things will happen. It's real life in real time. Well, not real life, but you know.
But for the train, are you planning on having actual full scale model like they have at Notch or something smaller?
We're going to be doing a couple narrow gauge trains, and they will be full scale. There'll be a big engine, just like at Disneyland, or at Knott's, and not something small, but there'll be the narrow gauge 24-inch track trains. One is going to be an old big steamer like the one at Knott's, which is really cool. The other one is going to be a repurposed mining train that we call a mule. That is because we have robots and stuff. So this is a train that was designed by our inventor, John Scrimshaw, and it's a smart engine. And it was used we call it a mule. So it's a mule, and its main job was to pull all the gems out of among other ones, to pull the gems out of the caves. And it's been abandoned and it's rebuilt and restored, and now it takes people around the park. So yeah.
Again, it sounds like interesting concept so far, and it's not even open yet. I'm excited to experience it.
Well, thank you.
You're quite welcome. One of another thing I'd like to ask, besides the train, what other attractions are you planning on having for Jackalope Junction?
Well, we have a lot of really fun planned ones. We have one that is the Mine Cave Adventure Tour, which Senior Mully gives. It's in the mine caves, and that's actually going to be a combination dark ride and indoor Crazy Mouse coaster with a lot of surprises. And then we have the Baron von Zumsky's Sky Runners, because he's a road runner and he's a flightless bird. So he develops these rocket planes that are suspended, and they go up to 75 miles an hour, and then they climb up a hill. You have to hit a button for the thrusters, and they will climb up this big hill into the top of the caves and slow down, and then they do this fast descent back down to the queue. We have our trains. We're going to have a bunch of we're going to have a county fair. So we're going to have a giant Ferris wheel, a big carousel. We're going to have whip style rides. We're going to have a Victorian swing, like the really cool ones at county fairs. And a few other attractions there. What rides is there? Well, we're going to have the blacksmith Bill's. It's this blacksmith shop, and he takes old wagons, wooden wagons, and converts them into electric and smart. So he's kind of like the Elon Musk of his time. And so you go through the queue and you see stuff he's working on, including possibly a time machine that he's working on. But when you get on you get on a buckboard, or you get on a covered wagon, or a stagecoach, and they're smart, and it's the test trail. So you're testing out his new invention on the trail, and it's kind of a homage to Disney's Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. So there'll be lots of rock work and spinning rocks and little critters here and there, including a band of singing mariachi cactuses towards the end of it. And we've got some other attractions planned out as well. So, Professor Ping's, you got to go see Professor Ping's science experiment in his pagoda. That'll be an attraction. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so we're planning on some pretty cool stuff. That's only part of them, but it's going to be pretty exciting, I think.
Now, I did read about this on your Jackalope Junction's website as well. Tell us more about the Time Crystal Club.
Ah, yes. So I thought it'd be cool to have something like Club 33 at Disneyland, but something that everybody could afford. Club 33 is really neat, and I've been, thanks to Mel McGowan from Storyland. And I thought, and I know people that belong to it, and it costs them 10,000 a year, plus they've got to pay X amount to get on a waiting list to start paying 10,000 a year. I thought, well, that's, everybody wants to go, and it's nice, but it's kind of crazy. So what we're gonna do is, for VIP guests, obviously, for families, we just pick out in the park. We may just pick somebody to go there. There will be people that can become members for pretty cheap. Town founders will have access to it. Somebody that donates towards our WeFunder will have access to it. And it's going to be pretty cool inside. So it's going to be inside the caverns, and there's going to be lots of purple time crystals all over the place. And we'll have live music and really great food. And it'll be affordable. It's not going to cost you $600 for a family of four. We want to make the park uh, accessible to everybody and enjoyable by everybody. We want people to be able to get in, and it's not going to cost them 3 or 4 months of their mortgage to take a vacation there for 2 or 3 days. We're going to have a couple of hotels inside the park people can stay in. And then we're going to have another hotel outside of the park as well as some other things. But we want it to be where everyone can enjoy it. So, and we're bringing back the ticket books. So we're going to charge probably $40 for adults and $20 or less for kids. And that's admission. And because of the price of inflation, but then you buy the tickets you want, and the tickets aren't that expensive. And if you want an A ticket or B ticket or C ticket, and you go on what you want to go on. If you don't go on all the rides that you've bought tickets for, you can use them next time you come, right? So that's kind of the cool thing we're trying to do, and bring back some sensibility to theme park experiences, which a lot of the parks don't do. So we're trying to make it a little more accessible to everybody, and your average family that is on a limited budget, we'll do what we can to get them in also and help. And we want everyone to enjoy it. So the Time Crystal Club is for if you're not a member, you can get a reservation for $50 or $100 or something stupid like that, and you can bring your family in for $100. And then, of course, you still got to pay for the food, but you're not having to spend some exorbitant membership fee to get in. And so we want it to feel exclusive, but it's really not.
Again, Jay, actually, because I'm a amusement park and theme park enthusiast. Been wanting to become a Club 33 member, but like you said, $10,000 a year and all that stuff, and you have to pay extra
Yeah,
for per month before you're even a member.
right, exactly. Well, I happen to know some people that could probably get you in if you're ever planning to go to Disneyland. I can contact some people and see if they can't get you in, and so you can experience it firsthand.
Oh, that'd be great. But like you said, so comparing to how much to the Club 33 itself in its price, how much would it be to become a member of the Time Crystal Club?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't figured that part out. It's not going to be very expensive. Like I said, if you become a town founder through our crowdfunding campaign, um, and it's on the WeFunder site. But if you give so much, then you become a Time Crystal Club member. And it's like I think it's $500 or $1,000 or something stupid like that, and you don't have to pay it every year. You just pay it one time. I'm not gonna nickel and dime people, over and over and over again. It's for everyone to enjoy and really to more or less do things different than Disney has. Because I don't think Walt would have liked the way that things run now, where I got to pay extra to get in a line. I've got to pay extra for this. I got to pay extra for that. I want people to come in, enjoy it, do what they can afford, and if and we'll figure it out from there.
Right. Again, Jay, I don't think he would have been really for speaking in Walt Disney terms, I don't think personally, I don't think he'd been really fond of Michael Eisner and Bob Iger and all the other people that took over after he passed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
when
no,
the
it's a shame. It's become, I've told my friends and stuff, like, are you going to Disneyland? I'm like, I can't afford it. If somebody gives me a free ticket, sure, I'll go because I love going. I love being there. It's fun. But if I'm not going to give Iger or anybody my money, I've got better stuff to do, and I've got to. And us looking for investors for Jackalope Junction is one thing, but I'm paying for a lot of this out of pocket every month for marketing and taxes and running the business and stuff. So
right.
if I added that all up, it'd be probably a pretty penny.
Well, do you have a specific location picked out for it yet, or are you still working on that part of it?
We have right now, there's a couple locations we are considering. One is here in California near Beaumont, up in the mountains, up in Oak Glen, up in that area. We've been offered some land, so we might consider that. It would cost a lot to make that happen from the construction engineering point, but it's not a no. We are looking at a ranch in Kingman, Arizona that is actually historically was started by one of the gang, the Hole in the Wall gang. That was, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So the ranch was started by one of their gang members. That's pretty cool. It's got some old West tie-ins. And then we are considering also Cedar City, Utah. There's a big development going up on the mountain, and they've offered to uh, have us build as part of their project near the base of the mountain above Cedar City.
I was gonna say you mentioned Kingman, Arizona. That if you build it there, you just be off of the tourist track attraction mecca of Route 66.
Well, Route 66 and the 10, yeah, right. And the 40 goes right through there to the Grand Canyon. And it's like an hour drive from Las Vegas or something silly like that. And it's not that far from LA also. So it would be an ideal place because we get all that. We'd get a lot of Southern California traffic. We'd get all that Nevada traffic. We get all the traffic that's coming through. Kingman is really working on becoming more of a tourist attraction. And the main road that heads from Kingman up to the Skywalk cuts through the property we're looking at. So there's that.
Again, I say you get a lot of business if you're right off of Route 66 with all the tourists coming back and forth trying to complete the whole route.
Right. Yep. Yep. There's a lot of positive to it. That's for sure.
Well, I guess I have one final question, and that would be, how could someone help you support help you out and support your funding for Jackalope Junction?
Well, it's funny. So there's been several ways people have supported it so far. We've had a lot of concept artists and writers who are ex-Disney that are involved. We've gotten a lot of concept art from people that have worked for Disney and for other parks, which has been fantastic because it's been volunteer. I haven't had to pay for that at all because I've been running on zero budget for the past 5 years because my wife said I can't spend any money on it. So people think it's cool. They think it's going to change things and really put a dent in the universe, and they really see the positive impact Jackalope Junction will have on our culture. So a lot of people have really gotten involved that way. We've tried um, crowdfunding sources, which have kind of done okay, but not great. We're looking for small investors like people like you or whatever that can give up 10 trips to Starbucks for $100, and you become a town founder and you get equity in the park, right? That's pretty cool. So not only are you investing in it through WeFunder, but you become an owner, maybe that much, but you still become an owner. And then we're hoping to talk to bigger investors, which we're starting to do now for bigger money in trade for shares of Acorn Entertainment Group for unreserved stock. So that's kind of the way we're doing it. I want to be different than other corporations that just go to investors. I want to share this with everybody. You know, when Walt said, Disneyland is your land, right? And he meant that being, you're all welcome here. But what I'm doing is Jackalope Junction is your town. You can become a citizen and you're really an owner of Jackalope Junction. You're a founder, you're an actual owner of an actual live theme park, which a lot of people don't get to do. You can invest in Disney stock, and well, I have my Disney stock, but I'm not, and I get, you know, whatever from Disney when they do well, if they do well. But you can't walk into Disneyland and say, hey, I own part of this park, because you don't. You own shares in Disney company, but you don't own part of the park. We're making it where everyone that gives money towards the park through the WeFunder campaign will own part of the park, period.
Right.
That might be a small percentage, but you'll get something back from that. You'll get a nice little check. Maybe every quarter you get $100 or $1,000. Who knows? But you're an owner of the park. And anybody can become an owner of Jackalope Junction and own a piece of this really cool thing, which I've done everything different than every other theme park company out there because I have to, and it's been successful. And we're going to have this thing built way before some of the companies that do theme parks can take 10, 15, 20 years to get a new thing built. And we're going to turn this around in several years from now at the least, I think.
Right, because I'm not positive how long it took them to build Shanghai Disneyland in China, but I think it's about the same amount of time you said that it takes regular companies to build theme parks.
Right. Plus all the pre-planning, years and years and years and years and years of pre-planning before they even bought the land and broke ground. Right. So,
right.
You know, the Tomorrowland, when Disney redid Tomorrowland, that was in planning for, I think, nearly 10 years before they did the change to that whole Jules Verne aesthetic. So, you know, that's it. But yeah, that's what we're doing is big investors or the little guys, people that just want to be owner of something really kind of pretty cool.
So, now when you say, like, for example, I think it's actually really neat that if you donate a certain amount of money to help out for Jackalope Junction, which I probably will do as well, because I'd like to have like a little tiny stake in an actual theme park, which I think,
Sure.
again, think is really neat sounding. But does this also go for the Time Crystal Club, which is you said membership is like if you donate?
Yeah, if you become a town founder, you'll be a member of the Time Crystal Club.
For like
for
permanently, or
I don't know yet. Probably, or at least for a year or something like that, or probably permanently. It might be permanently. You know, and what I'm saying to people now is we're doing this push to get to $50,000, and I've told everyone on LinkedIn and Facebook, if you give $100 or more, I will give you a lifetime pass to Jackalope Junction. And it's transferable too. So if you get too old to use it, you can transfer it one time to a friend or family member.
Right, because I don't know if you're familiar, since you're on the West Coast. We're based on towards the Midwest, East Coast, Midwest area.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years back, there was a park over here called Cedar Point, and they did something similar to what you're mentioning. And for their 150th anniversary, they decided if you're picked for a certain contest they had, if your name is randomly drawn, you could become a lifetime pass to get into Cedar Point for your rest of your life with your family.
Yeah. Right? Why not? It doesn't cost a lot. You know, it doesn't cost a lot for a park to go, you know what, if I give away X amount of free passes, you know, and it's goodwill. And people are excited about it, and they tell their friends about it. Now all their friends come and they're spending money. But then we're paying our people well. We're not putting this stuff at Disney like, well, I make $1 billion. I'm going to give you $18 or 15 or $12 an hour, depending on where we're at. I want the people that Richard Branson put it correctly, and he said, "Look, I pay my employees so much, and that's what makes our stock do well because I pay my employees what they're worth because they're the ones that are making me the money, right? If you're working hard and you're making guests happy, you have to deal with crappy guests or whatever like that on a certain day, you should be paid for what you're worth because you're responsible for the safety of my guests. You're responsible for the happiness of my guests. So why shouldn't I pay you accordingly for doing so? And give you not just living wage, but more, instead of living paycheck to paycheck, I want you to be happy. And if you have a crappy day, you wake up and go, God, I just can't go into work today because I just woke up in a sour mood. Well, then you can take the day off. It's not going to be a sick day. We're going to have one wrong side of the bed day for our employees. So if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you just say, look, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And stay home. I don't want you bringing your grumpiness to work unless you're going to play a grumpy character. But I don't want you being grumpy to my guests. I don't want you taking this and causing this. I don't want that. So we're doing a lot of we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff that a lot of parks don't do. And like on Father's Day, we'll make it free for dads to come in. Mother's Day, moms come in free, or moms and the kids come in free and dad has to pay to come in. Or Father's Day, the whole family gets in free. Sure, why not? And dad could go on the rides with the kids, or we're gonna have workshops. So dads can go do fun stuff like Home Depot used to have. You could build a little birdhouse with your kids and take it home, right? We're gonna do fun stuff. On Mother's Day, moms can go in the barn and do crafts with their kids if they want to, or she can just do something by herself and they have a little brunch for moms, and the dads just go off and have fun in the park with the kids and just let it be mom's day. And at the end of the day, we're gonna have a big giant picnic out on the lawn for everyone. And just give away stuff just because it's a really cool. The idea is it's the old town, the old Western town, the little town in the Midwest feel, right?
Right.
People have big picnics and potlucks and music playing under the rotunda and all that fun stuff. Watermelon eating contests and hot dog eating contests and pie eating contests. And we're going to do a blue ribbon ceremony. So we're going to work with 4-H and FFA. And the kids can bring their animals and we'll do all that stuff and blue ribbon stuff and whatnot. And a lot of that inspiration for that comes from the movie So Dear to My Heart, the Disney movie. So Tom Morris told me about So Dear to My Heart because I met him at Club 33 when I had dinner with Mel there, and we brought Tom Morris. And Tom said, watch So Dear to My Heart. And I did. I said, aha, that's what I need to capture. That right there is what Jackalope Junction, as well as the old town, Western town feel. We're going to have elements of that also. And lots of peaceful places a family can just go and where it's quiet and sit down and have a picnic and enjoy the day under cool pine trees or oaks or whatever. And at the end of the day, you're not going to want to leave. Really, people are going to go, this is too good. I don't want to go home. And we'll say, well, Case, you can spend the night in one of the hotels, or we're going to do another thing, which is cool. I forgot to tell you about. It's the overnight camping experience. So we're going to have several teepees and covered wagons. And a family of four will spend, I don't know, something $400 or $500. And what they get is they get campfire dinner and dessert, and then story time from a real cowboy or real Native American. And then they spend the night in one of the teepees or one of the covered wagons in the park, inside the park. And the next morning they get up, they get a campfire, they get a chuck wagon breakfast, and they get to run in the park all day for that. Right? And so how many people get to say, I got to sleep under the stars? There's so many families that have never gone camping and kids have never got to sleep under the stars and hear the crickets and stuff and the coyotes off in the distance. We're going to do all that and the woohoo owls and stuff and just make it a really fun experience for families that they're going to remember and want to come back again and again and again and make it a tradition. So, yeah.
A couple more things I'd like to ask. Are there the people that helping you with the anthropomorphic costumes and stuff and the animatronics? Do you have certain companies in mind? Like, for example, one in your area, Garner Holt Productions?
Mm-hmm. So I've been talking to Garner. I actually talked to him and some other ride companies, but I talked to Garner about uh, possibly owning part of the park. In other words, you do the animatronics are free and you're a partial owner in Jackalope Junction. Because why not? A lot of people get in the theme park business, rides or attractions or whatever, because deep down inside there's that kid in that goes, I wish I had my own theme park. I want my own theme park. So I've offered to Sam Perla and several other ride manufacturers, ride companies. And I said to them, I want your rides for free. And they go, okay, tell me more about it. And I said to Garner at IAPA a couple years ago, I want your animatronics for free. But I don't want any animatronics. I want like really cutting edge animatronics. And Garner said, and I said, you would be part owner of an actual theme park. And he said, hmm, interesting. Tell me more about it. Right? Nobody said no. I was talking to Joe Lanzistro that year at IAP, and I said, Joe, this is my thought. This is what I want to do. I'm asking people to give me their rides for free. And Joe said, brilliant. He goes, that's something nobody ever thinks about doing. I said, well, why not? Why not? The worst they'll say is, nah, man, I can't do that. But so far, everyone said, that's kind of interesting. Tell me more.
So, like the ride companies, because some are coming to my head, like GCI, Great Coasters International,
Hmm.
Sally Dark Rides. Oh,
Mac. Yep.
have you like talked to any of them? Because when
Hmm.
I think of your concept, I think this guy really needs this park really needs a runaway mine train type of theme to it, like a wooden roller coaster that's a runaway mine cart.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been talking to all the different companies and they're all interested. You were asking about the animatronics and the anthropomorphic animals. So Garner is someone I'm talking to about a very special animatronic. Well, the few for the Mind Cave Adventure Tour, that coaster. But there's one I'm talking about a very special, never done before, really cool, unbelievable. You'll think it's real animatronic. I'm not gonna give that away. And then that's all I can say. And then for the anthropomorphic animal costumes, I'm talking to several people about that. Jackalope Jim, of course, has to have his ears got to move. And you got to have the face appliances and so on and so forth, like they do with the Grinch. So I'm talking to this guy named Mario Kyoto. So Mario Kyoto, and I'm talking to some of the other people that make masks and stuff. But Mario used to make really cool sculpts of masks back in the 80s.
I think I know what
Dragons.
you're talking about. Was he part of the Kyoto brothers?
Yeah. So like the killer clowns from outer space and stuff like that. So he worked on stuff like that. And he's a sculptor. He does beautiful sculptures now. And he and I have talked several times. And when he has time, he's going to do a sketch of Jackalope Jim, a realistic looking Jackalope Jim for Jackalope Junction and for our TV show. And he'll work on creating the prosthetics and stuff like that, all the appliances that can go on pretty easily. So you'll have our actor who's 6 feet tall, thin-ish, and they got to be able to put it on pretty quickly. Like the guy who does the Grinch, must will be a pullover.
Rick Baker.
Yeah, Rick Baker. So Rick Baker is someone I would like to talk to if I don't know if he's still doing stuff. He probably might be interested, but they got to be able to put it on quickly within a matter of minutes, and then hopefully save the appliance afterwards, and we clean the appliance and next person, and there'll be some for this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. Same with the Senior Mole costume, which is a short mole. But yeah, all the characters are going to have somebody do some really impressive stuff. Now, my kids said when I said I want the Jackalope Jim and stuff for the TV show to be live action, and I don't want costume characters in the park like Mickey Mouse, but I want when you see Jackalope Jim, you're gonna go like Lord of the Rings or Narnia, you're gonna go, holy cow. And my kids said, that's kind of creepy. I said, yeah, but there's going to be some kids that are scared of it. And there's going to be some kids that go, oh, I got to go up there and touch it. I want to shake hands with that. I want to talk to that. right? I want them to believe that they have stepped back in time into a real town set in the late 1800s in an alternate universe. They've time traveled back to that time. I want this to be more immersive than the Galactic Star Cruiser, as an example, right? And you're not going to pay $3,000 to go for 2 days.
Right.
Yeah. So
Again, say, off the record, that was a bad decision on Disney's part.
yeah, it was a good experiment, and there's a lot to learn from it. And I'm glad they did it. I think it was really cool that they tried. I think it was bad that they charged as much as they did. I think they could have charged whatever for a family of four. They could have charged 800, $1,000. So think how much it costs to go to a nice hotel for a family of four, a really, really, really nice hotel. So a family of four goes to a nice hotel at $400 a night, right?
Right.
So plus you've got all the food that's free. And so, if it was a family of four for $2,000, all right, I get it. But for an individual for $2,000, it's just it priced everybody out. Everybody that was Star Wars fans and except for the really, really wealthy ones, it cut off the experience to millions of us because we can't, it's hard enough to go to Disneyland for $200 per person a day. So, but I think the Imagineers did an incredible job, Scott Trowbridge, and everybody knocked it out of the park. And I think they did their best and they tried their hardest. And I think corporate just got a little too greedy, unfortunately. It would have been
Right.
great. I think everybody should have been able to experience it. So
Now for I'm gonna say like for the makeup and stuff you have planned for the um walk around anthropomorphic characters, is it gonna be like facial prosthetics or
yeah. Yeah, facial prosthetics, appliances and facial prosthetics, probably some masks that are silicone that are very articulated. You've seen the old man mask and stuff like that, that when you put it on, you can't tell it's a mask. So in some cases, for some of the lesser characters, there'll be masks. Some more of the hero characters will do something a little nicer along the lines of the Grinch or something like that.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so um for the secret animatronic that you can't say anything about really, is it going to blow the shaman character from the Avatar Voyage of ride at Animal Kingdom out of the boat, so to speak?
So to speak. That's the hope.
Hmm.
It'll um yes, I believe it will. I'm gonna say to Garner, I want this to be better than the Shaman. I want this to be better than anything you've ever done for Disney. Period. And I
Uh,
know the animatronics from the new Tiana thing are really, really cool, like Tiana and incredible. I mean, the animation is just stunning. It's going to be that smooth, but um, there's some things we have to figure out from a safety standpoint. Let me just put it that way.
right.
The
I'm
guest safety.
right. Don't want to have a quote unquote Five Nights at Freddy's experience on your hands.
Exactly. We don't want that. So I'm challenging Garner to come up with something based on some ideas I have to see what he can do.
So one final question for you before I let you go.
Sure.
Do you have any like some amusement parks have seasonal things, like a food and wine festival at Epcot and a Halloween event like a Not Scary Farm, Not Merry Farm. Do you have
Yeah, yeah.
anything planned
Mhm.
for that,
Of course.
like that at Jackalope Junction?
Yeah, so for Halloween, I love, Halloween, that autumn is a cool time of year. Literally, it's cool and it's cool. My biggest, so Disney does a good job with their not so scary Halloween or whatever they call it, right? Um, we so there's a whole storyline about the missing miners and the two children that were killed we think killed in the mine caves. And it happened on October. It happened in October when the mine cave accident happened. So what happens is throughout the whole month of October, at night, after 8 o'clock, the town reverts back into a ghost town. So this beautiful town all day, and up to a certain point at night, at 8 o'clock, bells ring, and the whole town all the wood becomes crumbly, and the curtains in the buildings become all tattered and blowing, and you'll see appearances of apparitions here and there, which are the 13 missing people showing up in the park, not just in the town, but on the outskirts of the town and near the mine caves. And if you're on the mine cave ride, you may see them show up in there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the Professor Ping attraction has become a little spookier. I want it to be spooky. I don't want it to be demonic or murdery or anything else that these parks do with all this horror nonsense. Nothing horror. It's like Halloween was for us when we were kids. Fun, spooky. The kids hold on to mom and dad. I'm scared, right? But at the same time, they'll go, oh, I want to see that. Oh, and the cool thing about that is that when kids are a little scared, it helps make them stronger because it helps develop bravery. So I want it to be fun but spooky. And there's a whole story as to why this happens. We have a whole backstory for that, and it's explained when you go to the park. But that'll be our Halloween. Christmas time, if we're in a place where it snows, fantastic. We're going to do a whole winter Christmas celebration. If it doesn't snow, we'll make snow. Real snow, not the little bubbles that come down, but we'll have real snow and fire pits, the whole 9 yards, and make it frosty and lots of hot chocolate and apple cider. And then we're going to do, like I said, we'll do Mother's Day and Father's Day. We're going to have a time, like you have Adventureland Day. We're going to have Time Travel Day. So you can come as a time traveler because there's a lot of time travel involved in our story. So we'll have Time Travel Day and a bunch of other fun stuff. But for the bigger things, will we do a Food and Wine Festival? Probably not. I think I don't think that's necessary. But we'll do
Too overdone.
That's a little overdone. It's like, okay, people get food and wine, and you pay $10 for a little sample, right? So I think that's kind of silly. But we're gonna do some
Yeah,
fun
you're
stuff.
you're not gonna go crazy like Disney does with their Epcot festivals, like Festival of the Arts, all that.
They already do that. I don't need to. I'm trying not to duplicate. I'm trying to do things different than everybody else and give somebody. See, here's the big thing. You have all these new parks opening up. They're copying. They're either taking existing IP they've already had and making new attractions. That's great. Universal, Epic Universe is going to be pretty awesome. But it's IP that everybody's known for a long time, and they're finally saying, let's make a Mario Kart ride, or let's make the Mario roller coaster, or Donkey Kong coaster, which is awesome. I think the work they're doing is amazing. Um, you know, Disney would be smart in if they're doing this whole big expansion to dig into their old IP that a lot of people don't know anymore. They should do a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. They should do stuff that is fun and adventurous. And then you have the American Heartland, which is basically Disneyland, except with different names for their lands. But it's Disneyland. They have Futuropolis. Okay, it's Tomorrowland. You have this and this and this, and so they have a Frontierland. So I forget where I was going. We don't want to duplicate what everyone else is doing. We want everything to be highly original from the get-go. So when you come in, you will be blown away. And every day will be different than the day before. You will never know what's going to happen when you come to Jackalope Junction. You could come every single day and it'll be different. It's just like going into downtown Orange or little downtown, wherever you're from. It's like they're the old town, and there's always something going on different, right? But you never know.
Right.
It's not planned stuff, but I'm gonna just leave it there. It's gonna be an exciting thing for everybody every day and not scripted out for 3 months of story. It's gonna be year round. story, which is going to be not impossible, but it's going to be a lot of work to get us to do something really unexpected. Kind of like I think what people were expecting from Galaxy's Edge that never got quite pulled off. We're not going to stifle our budget because everything's got to be highly original from day one.
Well, I think that went interview went pretty well. But before I let you go, can you tell our viewers how to donate to your cause for Jackalope Junction?
Yes. If they want to become a town founder, now you could donate less than $100. That's fine. I had one person, I think it was a kid, donated $5, right? And I've had people that were out of work donate $500, and the guy was out of work. He just lost his job. There's a big, I think, actor strike or writer strike, and he was out of work, but he donated $500, which I never expected, which just breaks my heart, but it is what it is. With this, if people go to WeFunder.com/ I think it's Jackalope _Junction. So JACKALOPE _JUNCTION, Jackalope Junction. So WeFunder.com / Jackalope _Junction. And there you have it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it very much, Mr. Schumsky, and I hope to speak to you in the future and possibly in person.
Yes, of course. I would love to do that. And gee, you know what, Andy, because you're such a good guy and a good host, I'm going to do what I can to get you a lifetime pass to Jackalope Junction because
I appreciate it.
you've been
sure,
super
I
kind
really do.
and a wonderful questions. I really appreciate your time. And call me Greg. You don't have to call me Mr. Schumsky. Just call me Greg. And I'm happy with that.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you for being our first guest on our video podcast, Just the Facts.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.